Okay, thank you. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the City of Westfield Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. Specific information can be found on the City of Westfield website at www.cityofwestfield.org. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by tuning into Channel 15 or Channel 12 or online at westfield.org, westfieldtv.org, or online at youtube.com, Westfield Community Programming Channel. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, so let's take attendance. Okay, Carl?
I'm here.
Hey, Tom?
I'm also here.
Hey, Bob?
I'm here.
Alex?
Here.
Cliff?
Here.
Okay. That's it. Again, Jim's absent today. Anyone like to address the commission on any item not on the agenda? Seeing none, item 3, public hearings, NOIs. This is 459 Russell Road, Toccoa Country Club. Applicant requests continuance to May 11th meeting at 6:30. We have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Carl?
Yes.
Hey, Tom?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
And Cliff?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion, and I'll say yes, motion approved. Item 4, public meetings. 360 Prospect Street Extension, continued from April 13 meeting. Okay, Meredith.
Yes, so the applicant actually asked, but he can't come till 7. Can we continue it to the end of this? Can we take the agenda out of order?
Sure, we can. I'll make a motion that we change the order of the agenda to allow Mike to join us regarding 360 Prospect Street.
I'll second that motion. I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Carl?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. Item B, 265 Union Street, continued from April 13th. Meredith.
Yep, so we did another site visit. So this is the project where Mr. Alley is doing some gardening or some vegetable beds in the back of the lot at 265 Union Street. Clearly the front of the lot has been farmed regularly for the past however many years. The back of the lot was questionable where the gardens are going. I talked to the farmer from many years ago, actually. I don't think that person was farming before Cliff brought the property, and so it should be known that Cliff is the property owner. So I think he would have to recuse himself as a.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Cliff. At this point, if I were you, I would recuse myself.
Yes, I'm going to recuse myself. I'm just here as a landowner. If you have any questions.
Great. Hey, Meredith, did you get Cliff's recent email? I know you get 500 a day, but did you see? Did you see one about?
Yeah, I just received that and I forwarded it to folks, and it sounds like I have it right here. It sounds like, you know, they've been farming the property since he purchased it in 2013. So I just wasn't sure. I mean, looking at the property and talking to the previous farmer, it didn't seem like the back was really farmed because it's so wet. That's what the person that used to farm it said. he said he farmed the front, but not the back. But Cliff is saying, I didn't actually get a chance to read the letter. If you want to speak to the letter, Cliff or Mr. Alley, feel free.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I read the letter. I read, there were actually 3 or 4 documents, and I also visited the site. If you guys remember, this is the one we pulled up on the, Carl, I'm not sure if you did or Jim, but somebody shared it, or Alex, one of you guys shared it as far as an earth view. And we could see that there were like 2 clear areas. But the documentation that Mr. Laraway sent, that the landowner sent us, is very clear that this property has been farmed, including the back area, and it has been farmed for a profit. He showed, documentation there. So I, for one, am encouraging the commission to allow Mr. Alley to continue to grow his vegetable garden. It's such a mild use of the land. And yes, it'll wipe out a few skunk cabbage, but they'll come back once once he's finished. So I thought the documentation that Cliff presented is more than adequate for us to make a decision. Anybody else get a chance to read it?
Not yet. Does it show actual agriculture in the back for commercial use?
Meredith, can you pull it up and share it?
Mr. Chair, at least it read that the farming was all the way west to the Powder Mill Brook, and it kind of defined the parameters on all 4 sides, so that there was 2 or 3 letters like 2016, 2018, kind of stating an annual agreement stating that the farming was being conducted all the way to Powder Mill Brook. So there wasn't a direct reference between the front and the back like we've been talking, but the reference was clear that they were using the entire property to the brook. That's the way it's stated.
Is the letter from actual farmer or from the owner?
Can you see that, guys? Is that working?
Yes, Mary.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Oh, you had it. It's there. You just zoomed in. That's fine.
Yeah. Can you scroll it up?
Okay.
I think, right, Cliff had provided a current letter saying his recollection of the activities, and then he provided agreements from the last couple of years to back up the leasing, particularly number 3 there, I think.
Oops.
At least the fields to, the local farmer, I guess, 2 or 3. You want to scroll down to those lease agreements?
This was from 2017.
Yeah, so I guess, Mr. Chair, what I was referencing was right here, the ordinal, description, and to the west, it says west to Powder Mill Brook. It references property lines and features in the other directions. There's a broad statement that it was a cornfield in the past.
Well, I mean, there's a definite cornfield in front of the trees, but I mean, behind the trees really doesn't look like a cornfield.
Oh. Sorry. I don't know what happened. Sorry, I don't know what happened with, I can share that again. I can. Okay, it's not letting me scroll. You would think I would understand Zoom by now, but apparently.
I think you're okay, Meredith. I mean, I don't think there was anything different, right? It's a couple of years of the same agreement,
Okay.
Lease for the property, and then kind of Cliff's cover letter on the packet of letters that you showed first. At least that's what I saw earlier.
From my perspective, it wasn't entirely clear that the back portion of that land was used in that way, but I'm not sure that that really makes a difference. And clearly that piece of land was used for the most part for agriculture at some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I forget, so if this was just riverfront area, it'd be pretty straightforward. Like you can do agriculture 100 feet from a perennial stream without much problem. But then it's just, somebody flagged this as a bordering vegetated wetland and there's skunk cabbage all over back there. It just seems a little odd to me that it just doesn't look like the back half was farmed. It doesn't look like a cornfield, doesn't look like an old hayfield. The front is very obvious. But yeah, the property has been used for agriculture. So if the commission wants to allow this continued use, then we can move forward and call it exempt.
What's the opinion of the commission? Okay, Alex, you seem to think it would be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're on the line in terms of evidence being produced. You know, technically we're looking for some kind of sale of goods. You know, we do have a record here of the property, you know, the described property all the way to the area of concern being leased for that purpose. I haven't been on the site. I've heard other commissioners' concerns that it doesn't really look like it's been used actively recently. But then on the other hand, I know that this is a pretty low impact use that's being proposed down there. You know, we're not building something permanent down there, or I guess really even digging into the soil. Were those slightly raised beds, Mr. Alley?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Here I am. So it's not raised beds. What it is that I use a broad fork to work in material and actually just uncompact the soil. So it's all hand tools. So it does raise up the soil, but that's part of what it does is it's just lifting it up. So not necessarily the raised beds.
What kind of
higher, and then you'll have like wood chips. There's no bare soil with the type of growing that I'm doing. So there'll be wood chips where the footpath would be. It's a 30-inch bed with an 18-inch walkway, and then it just keeps repeating.
Yeah, I think, you know, the position that we're in is a little awkward in that Cliff's on the commission, you know, so, but he has produced documentation that goes a bit beyond, you know, just saying, I know that it was farmed, because that definitely, you know, doesn't really pass muster, especially if somebody else were to walk in here. We can't just take people's word for things. We need some kind of record. So really at the end of the day, the question is, do we feel this is a sufficient record? And you know, I guess by the letter of the regulation, he's got a commercial bill of sale that describes the area of concern being used. And that's probably where I'd land at the end of this, is maybe just over the finish line. But I haven't seen it in person, and if there were serious reservations from anybody, I guess I'm not. You know, I heard Tom somewhat in favor already, but kind of wishy-washy for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just the agriculture. Sorry, go ahead. Just agriculture is. Things are allowed under the agricultural exemption that we would never allow under regular wetlands protection. So it's hard to wrap your head around this stuff. So anyways, I'll let you guys discuss. I'm on the fence too, but I'm not voting.
It seemed like the agreement mentioned the boundaries of the leased area, but it did not say that there was actual agriculture up to the river itself. It said the river was the boundary of what could be done, but When we were there, I didn't see anything in the back that looked like, you know, a hayed area. I mean, it was all disturbed. You know, it had been tilled. So, and there were a few skunk cabbage coming up in it. So it was hard to determine what was there before it was tilled. But I think Meredith did see it last fall before it was tilled. What was back there then?
I think it was goldenrods and stuff. I mean, I didn't study it. I was there in December. It was kind of like brushy and a lot of goldenrods, from what I recall.
Mm-hmm.
So unclear. I mean, a hayfield can go back to goldenrod. I mean, there's goldenrods in the front too. It's just, they're more sparse. Whereas in the back, it seemed they were thicker. And at least, I mean, it's good that Mr. Alley, because he's started in on this work, has left the bank. You know, there's a lot of rubus and brambles on the bank, and we would want to leave those in place so we don't have any erosion of the bank in the future. And Mr. Alley, can you say how close to the river are you going to be, are the beds? I'm sorry, I can't.
Well, this year, if we did both sections, it would be from 51 feet to about 75 feet. And then the second section would be from like 79 feet to about 105, 110 feet. But because we're getting a late start, I manually end up doing that second section, which is probably like 79 to maybe 105. And then kind of working it has, you know, I've lost, you know, some valuable time here, so I can only work so much. This is all by hand, so. Mm. So probably the main section this year would be probably that 79 to 105 feet, 110 feet, whatever it is.
And what was done, where are the beds at now? That's like about 50.
That's the one that's laid out. Yeah, there's a 4-foot walkway in the center. It goes parallel to the brook. So you have two 25-foot beds on either side of that. So okay. The marker that I had put down where the first bed would start would be at 51 feet. And that would go for another 25, then 4 feet, then another 25.
So no more land is going to be cleared. You're just going to use what you've already tilled.
Right. Oh yeah, it's be smaller than what's cleared. Yeah, they're only 25-foot beds.
And you're not going into the trees anymore.
No,
like,
no,
okay.
No. Yeah. Okay. It actually goes lower. Yeah, no. Yeah, the area that was marked out with the stakes, that we end up at, it's like 15 beds, so it's like 60 feet wide. And then you have the 25-foot beds with a 4-foot walkway in the middle.
And then Dan, how far away from the resource area? 79 feet, is that what you're saying? How far are your stakes away from the water?
I marked where the brook was, and then 51 feet in from that is where the bed starts. And then it goes 25 feet, and then another 4 feet, and then 25 feet.
Okay, so to be clear, you're 50 feet away from the resource area, correct?
Yeah, at least, oh yeah, and then some.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's be clear, from the river.
From the river.
Area is actually considered a resource area of wetland, as it was flagged for a different project. So, but in all fairness, I mean, legitimate agriculture does occur in wetlands. And when it's been going on for year after year, if it's been commercial agriculture for years, it's under the exemption, and the exemption goes away after 5 years of not being commercial agriculture. And I talked to DEP, and they did, you know, it's land and agricultural use is the term, and that it can be different areas. It doesn't have to be the whole property. It can be, for example, on this lot, the front is land and agricultural use, definitely. Back, a little bit questionable.
Meredith, are you saying that, say we got this whole lot is the lot considered land and agricultural use, or are they looking at it in a specific area of the lot? So if you were to
areas.
Okay, so if you were to rotate a crop, you would have to rotate through that area every 5 years to keep the active status. All right.
Yes.
So
yeah, you have to do something every 5 years. Yeah.
To me, this comes down to how the commission feel. What we have is a lease saying that somebody was leased to do commercial farming on the property, and the property is defined in that letter. I guess the question is, was the area in question then farmed by that person who had the lease? And that's really the question that the commission has to decide on, or that we don't have sufficient evidence and it gets put off. But I mean, that's really what this boils down to. I mean, if it was farmed in the last 5 years, then Mr. Alley can keep doing what he's doing without any further permitting. And if not, then they have to stop and either come back with a permit or move the operation. I mean, that's what this goes down to, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Full disclosure. We know that Cliff Laraway is a conservation commissioner. We know that's why he recused himself for this discussion. But with that said, Cliff, the owner of the property, has sent us a letter. And maybe we want to ask him directly, but his letter is indicating that property has been used agriculturally. And it wouldn't surprise me if it hasn't been used in the last 4 years, because it's so wet, that there would be some wetland plants that would establish themselves there. But I think that does not take away from the agricultural privilege that he's seeking.
I would just add to that, Tom, I don't think we should ask Cliff directly. I think because he's a commissioner, any comment could have undue influence on our decision-making ability. But
if it was another piece of property, wouldn't we seek the opinion of the landowner?
I guess I don't know the logistics. I would assume that a commissioner shouldn't speak on behalf of something they're involved with, but.
To my mind, I think that the letter speaks to the fact that, in fact, this was used agriculturally, and I think we'd be worrying about splitting hairs a little bit to figure out which part of that property and whether we wanted to limit parts of properties. And I think particularly since this alteration is fairly minimal, as has been noted before, I think this definitely meets the criteria, so I'm in support of it.
I just have a quick question.
Who's that?
Bob.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Mr. Chairman. There's not going to be any storage of anything there, right? I mean, everything's going to be mobile, be able to be moved and stuff. Mr. Alley's not going to leave anything on the property. He's going to, bring the tools in that he needs and then move them out. There's no permanent storage. So that's the only thing I wanted to know.
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Okay, all right, thank you. Correct. The tools are brought in. They're all hand tools. Matter of fact, they were there for the first site visit. It's all like hand cultivators, a broad fork. It's all hand tools that are used. And then as things are picked, they're just toted, and then, there's nothing being stored on the property.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for noting that, because it is also in the floodplain. There's like a lot of going on back there. So that's a good place to note. I mean, if the commission's comfortable, I didn't write it down, but your choices are, well, continue, get more information, issue a -5, which is, that's the exemption clause in the RDA, or the determination of applicability. And it just says the area described in the request is subject to the provision under the act, but it meets the requirement of an exemption. And then we specify that exemption, so no notice of intent is required. You could also issue a -3, which allows the work as well with some conditions, but I don't think you want to do that. And then denies the fourth option.
I guess I'm concerned that he's going to 50 feet from the resource, or within the resource, he's going 50 feet from the river. That's awfully close. I mean, I guess he's already got part of it planted, the part that's farthest away. If the commission wants to exempt this, I'm not sure if we can, as Meredith said, condition this so that it doesn't go as close to the river. What about the use of fertilizers as well? Because things can wash into that river very quickly.
We're using an organic fertilizer and compost made from like local materials. So it's all natural and all organic. I think I gave you a copy of my book. Yeah. And basically you're letting the microbiology and the plants by using companion planting, and there'll be other things planted there. Actually, the only thing that's planted there now is a cover crop, just seed in the ground. But there'll be flowers, herbs, and things like that that are just planted so that there's no bare soil. And you're just letting the plants and the biology that's in the soil build the soil. So.
But even organic fertilizers still have nitrogen and phosphates in them that can get into the river. So it seems like the commission is leaning towards exempting this, but I'd be concerned it being so close to the river with that second row of.
Right. Well, I can just stay with that. Like I said, that second bed, which is from 79 feet to about 105 feet, and the other area just because I don't want bare soil. I want, like, whether it's flowers and cover crops and grasses growing, which they don't have to be fertilized. And I can just lay down like a thin layer of compost or compost tea, and that'll achieve the same purpose. So, and do something like that.
One quick question. At the end of every season, are you going to do a cover crop?
There'll always be a cover crop.
Okay.
No bare soil.
Well, we need to do something because we got a lot of time. Agenda items. Yeah.
Uh-oh, we're up. This is a half hour.
Is it already? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like the commission wants to approve this. I guess I'm still not convinced that there's agriculture actually back there. That's just my own personal opinion. But would someone like to make a motion? First, yeah, we don't. Anybody in the public like to address this particular item?
You, as a landowner, you don't want me to speak, right? Just checking.
I mean,
you prefer me not to?
Ideally, Cliff.
Just asking.
Okay.
If
ideally,
I could clarify anything, but that's fine.
Contacted the state ethics department to see how we could approach this, since you were the owner.
Okay.
But, okay.
Mr. Chairman, if you're ready for a motion, I'll take a stab.
Okay.
I'd make the motion that we approve this as a -3 declaration. And actually, I should have asked this before, but do we want to put conditions on it? Do we want to address? I do want to mention 79 feet, that this motion will be, there'll be no planting any closer to the river than 79 feet. Do we want, let me stop there and then we can discuss and amend if we need to.
Can Meredith weigh in just from a regulatory standpoint? I don't know. I don't, unfortunately, I don't think I think we're debating an agricultural exemption. Mm-hmm. If this was not, I think we're deciding if it's agriculture. If we think it is, it's -5, no conditions, they can continue operation. Mm-hmm. If we don't think it is, it's an NOI. So I don't think we can do a -3 with conditions. But that's my personal opinion. I would defer, I guess, to Meredith if she knew, but not if you don't either, then I guess it's just my opinion. But
I think you're right, Alex.
I would tend to agree with that. That was how I had seen this issue.
So it's all or nothing, Tom.
I'll make my motion. That motion wasn't seconded, so it just goes away. I will start again. And make a motion that we approve this with a -5 declaration, with the condition, or that with the understanding that the garden lot will come no closer than 79 feet to the river. That's my motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I guess I'm willing to second that.
Okay. I guess if we have a discussion, Meredith, can we condition an exemption or have an understanding with an exemption?
I mean, I don't see why not. It just, we're saying it's exempt, and we're in the understanding with Mr. Alley and the landowners that they're going to maintain a 79-foot buffer from the river, but otherwise the activities are exempt. And it's important to note they're exempt because this isn't a BVW.
Right.
So I think that's fair. And
I mean, to be clear, if the operation goes wayward and there's a bunch of erosion out there, we can still bring enforcement because they're not in general, can't we? Or you know, they just have free range over this. I would think and Mr. Alley, I'm not saying you're going to let it get this way. I'm thinking if there's like massive bank disturbance or there's some clear violation of what we would normally enforce, that we would then have some leeway. You know, I don't think it's carte blanche. I think he still has to follow proper protocols, and you know, he did state that he'd keep cover crop to Bob's question and things like that. So,
yeah, and I think we'll find Mr. Alley to be a good steward of the environment. Again, I'm just reminding the group, this is like 2, or maybe it's just 1 now, you know, garden plot. It's not, we're not talking about farming acres and acres of property along a resource area. This is a pretty small garden.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, let's take a vote. Tom?
Yes, I'll vote yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Alex?
yes.
Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
well,
All right, so the motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I didn't hear your vote.
All right, I will vote yes as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
Okay, so in that space from, I think it's 51 feet to about 75 feet, it's okay for me to plant a cover crop, or if I wanted to like just even plant flowers or flowering herbs and that sort of thing, just wild.
yep, you got,
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
good to go. Yep.
Yeah, because like I said, I want to be able to bring in pollinators. I want things for the critters to eat and that sort of thing. And we'll even bring in the goldenrod, but
Great. Yeah, just get it revegetated
yeah.
as soon as possible. Sorry for the holdup. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Alley. Good night.
Good night.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did I miss us motioning to close the public meeting?
Oh,
Yes, you did. Sorry. Okay. That's
Yeah.
my fault. All right.
Sorry, I don't want to have to vote on this again next week. That's all.
All right, my mistake.
That was Colleen. Thank you.
The motion to close the public meeting first. Okay.
So moved.
All right. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Discussion. Okay. Carl?
Yes.
Okay. Alex?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Alex? That's everybody, right?
That's everybody. We're short.
Just
Yeah.
you, sir.
Yes. That's right. We're short too.
but we still have a quorum.
Yes, we do. Okay. We can welcome Cliff back to the meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion. We resume the normal order of the meeting. Return to item 4A.
We're Ed. Okay.
I think
If
Mr.
he's
Barnes
here.
is- yeah, Mr. Barnes.
Mr. Barnes is here. Okay. Thank you.
I'm not sure. Is that true? Or?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I
good.
see him.
All right. We second to return to normal procedure.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, Carl?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Tom?
Yep.
Bob?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. All right, so 360 Prospect Street Extension. Continue from April 13th. Okay. I know some of you went out and visited the site. Do we have any further discussion about the project?
I was kind of, I was concerned at our last meeting about encroachment on our 50-foot stay away zone, our informal, for now, 50-foot stay away zone. And I did go visit the site with Meredith, and Mike was nice enough to show us around. What I didn't fully understand is what the chairman was trying to convince me of a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And that's that this is a lawn. It's already vegetated. There is a buffer between where he wants to work and the resource area. I'm totally satisfied with the recommendations of the administrator on this project.
Okay, further discussion.
I'm still grappling with that, the sort of the no-touch zone, the 50-foot. I realize that definitely that is already disturbed. I just wish that it were farther away and that we could work something out that didn't encroach on that quite so much. That's the issue I'm grappling with.
Anyone else?
I think given Mr. Barna's site constraints and the existing uses, the adjacent neighboring existing uses, I'm comfortable with his proposal.
Okay. All right. Meredith, any further comments?
Yeah, something to consider. It's like, this isn't, the buffer zone isn't a forested buffer zone completely. It's mostly an existing lawn. And then there's a strip of like goldenrods between the BBW and the lawn. And because of the site constraints, Mr. Barna he can't keep his garage 50 feet from the wetland edge. So I was thinking the commission could approve the project, but have him do some sort of remediation, some enhancement of the buffer zone, and agree on not mowing further, like leaving the goldenrods as they are, leaving, you know, he has his lawn, he's doing, and that's fine, but let's not continue to encroach on the wetland edge. So that was just my thinking on this one.
Can the goldenrod be replaced with some of the other plants you were discussing? I'm just asking, just to make it a little more visually appealing. You mentioned a whole bunch of stuff, and I just don't know if they can be dispersed within the plantings within the goldenrod, or will the goldenrod overwhelm them?
Yeah, it depends on what how big of a shrub or tree you're going to plant in there. It would take a little while for a large woody thing to shade out the goldenrod. And what we don't want is
some of the plants we're talking about, the red. I don't know the names of them.
Yeah, red osier dogwood, I was suggesting, because that's a good plant it's visually appealing as well as provide some wildlife habitat and value.
But Mike,
I think what we don't want to do is remove goldenrod and get lawn in there.
I would just plant those plants in with the goldenrod, and hope and let nature take its course.
Yeah, often sorry.
My read on this, and again, thank you for your hospitality, but my read on this is that we're breaking our, and Carl, my heart goes out to you, because this has been a very firm rule that, you know, no encroachment within 50 feet. Of course, we have the ability and the right to modify that, which is what is being suggested in this case. But we're changing that to 25 feet. So you do nothing within 25 feet of the resource area. Meredith is suggesting that you plant 4 or 5 shrubs or small trees, you would plant them on your side of this 25-foot line. Okay?
Okay, I understand that. I'm not actually 20, I know the plan says 25 feet. I'm actually only, in reality, once we measured it out, I think it was 14 feet. I moved it up some, as far as I could to allow, just allow access to the backyard for septic system maintenance. So I'm not actually going 25 as my plan originally showed, and my letter of intent indicated 25 feet. I'm now 36 feet away from the buffers, from the zone. Construction would take that, but the permanent structure would be within about 36 feet away, not 25, as my original plan had indicated.
I'll take that. We'll change 25 to 36.
Meredith, I think if we approve this, then there needs to be some coordination with you and the landowner on actually, where the edge of no disturbance ends and where he should be planting the plants that we're recommending. After he's put his garage up and the shed is moved. When I was there, he was proposing putting the shed actually beyond the lawn area into some disturbed area. Is the commission's request that he keeps it on the lawn, or can he push it back farther towards the wetland?
A good question. Mike, what is the distance there between the back of the shed and the resource area?
That is probably equal. If the plan, because it veers off, it kind of goes back that way. And I'm proposing putting it kind of right on the edge of the property line. I'm sorry, I'm pointing at it like you guys can see it. But the buffer zone, with that checkered line is the 15-foot zoning, the setback.
From the neighbors, yeah.
Yeah. So the front of the shed is actually going to be like right on the edge of the 50-foot mark, just so it's not on the lawn, and just sitting on top of that area that's, I'm not sure what you want to call it. So would be, again, it would only be it would be encroaching, and I could probably, and the ramp, the shed itself could probably go up further, and the ramp would be, the drive-in ramp would be on the other side, or go up. I don't have a measurement on that, sir. It's right. What that is.
Well, I think we would like that.
I don't know if where I staked off is where it's actually showing on that plan. It's hard for me to scale that. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that plan is the garage scale is off a bit, because it's actually bigger than the house, which is inaccurate now that I look at it.
All right. So is the commission comfortable with Meredith's recommendations on the determination and the conditions?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So I think the shed should probably be as close to the 50-foot as possible, and not be pushed farther back into the that vegetated area on the crest of the edge of the wetland there. Okay. So any further discussion?
Yeah, I was thinking that I didn't see any mention of the shed, and I was hoping that, as you mentioned, we could push that as close to that line as possible.
Right.
And keep it as much as possible out of that 50-foot buffer.
Okay. Well, I think perhaps when he wants to move that, the commission could go out there, or Meredith could go out there and actually, spot where it should be, based upon our recommendation. Instead of trying to look at it on that plan, actually do it on the site.
I think the property owner understands the situation he's in. I think he appreciates the resource area, and I think he will do whatever he can to stay as far away from it as possible. Maybe the only change I would make is Meredith suggested 25 to 30 feet, no cut, no mow zone. We might as well go with the 30 feet. I think we can safely do that. Mike, I think you can safely stay away, stay 30 feet away. Those would be my final comments.
Yeah, so that would just be where my lawn is right now, with the existing lawn, or?
Yeah, stay with your existing lawn, right.
That's not a problem at all. It's less lawn to mow. I did, all I'm looking to do is make it so I actually view things, I can see things instead of just those prickle bushes. I don't know what plants those are. I'm not a plant person, so to speak.
That's a lovely rose. That's actually a rose. You should like that one.
There's no roses there, I can tell you that.
Okay, any further discussion?
Just so I'm clear, what the two trees that are dead in the back, is there any issue with removing them? Not removing the roots, just cutting the dead part off.
No, I think the commission would allow that. Okay, anything else? Anything from anyone in the audience concerning this particular project? Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tom?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, do we have a motion on the recommendation?
Yep, we'll make a motion that we approve with a -3 determination and with the following conditions. The conservation coordinator shall approve the erosion controls prior to the commencement of work. Erosion controls shall be maintained in good order until the conservation coordinator approves their removal. Any disturbed soil shall be loamed, seeded, and revegetated prior to the removal of the erosion controls. Trees, 2 dead trees on the back of the property may be cut, but stumps shall remain in place. We didn't discuss this, but the recommendation is, and again, Meredith is going to come out and work with the landowner, but at least 10 native shrub plantings between the new garage and the relocated shed shall be installed. A no mow zone of 30 feet from the wetland edge shall be adhered to in perpetuity. And the treatment and removal of bittersweet vine is allowed and encouraged. That would be my motion.
I would just make an amendment as far as the no mow, because the back of the pre-existing lawn may be closer than 30 feet to the edge. So I would say, he can mow the lawn that's there already, but not any closer to the wetland.
I'll accept that amendment to the motion that the existing lawn shall exist. The current lawn shall exist in a no mowing zone of 30 feet from the wetland edge.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Oh, actually, I'd like to propose another slight amendment that the relocation of the shed be agreed upon in consultation with the conservation coordinator.
Okay,
I'm happy to include that in the motion. I'll amend the motion to that effect.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none. Tom?
I'll vote yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. All right, good luck, Mr. Barna.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Meredith.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Mr. Barna. Good night.
All right, item C, 1220 Russell Road. Continue from April 13. And there was a site visit done on 422. Do you want to put up some photos, Meredith?
Yeah, and the Turners sent me an additional plan. I can share that if they'd like to start, just to refresh everyone's memory.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, where'd it go? One sec. Share. Hold on. Oops. Hold on. I'm sorry. Too many things open. I think I had it. All right, I'm just going to start with some pictures since I don't see that plan right here. Oh no. Can you guys see a large picture? Or is it just the little?
Just the folder. Yep.
Thumbnails.
Why does that? Okay, try this again. Okay. So it's an existing sort of side yard where they're proposing to put a, a pool, what else? Some fencing. They also are asking to remove this shed that's there. There's a stream back here. There's a couple streams in the back of this lot here. Intermittent streams. Come on. It's not going forward. Go backwards instead. So this is sort of, so there's some trees and a bunch of lilacs actually in their side yard that I think this would all be cleared. But part of it's lawn. There's a sugar maple that they would like to cut down. And this is all within 50 feet of the stream there. This is the stream. I'll have a better picture. Let me see. I think the Turner, Diane is here, Mrs. Turner.
I'm here.
If you want to speak to the proposal while I try to find the plan that you sent earlier.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We're limited between where the stream area is and where the road is to be able to kind of fit everything in there. The fencing she was talking about, we basically want to put a small section behind the house where that existing shed is. When we set up the garage, the last person for the conservation wanted to get rid of that shed in the worst way. We didn't own the property. The property owner said no. So we would actually like to move that if possible, unless you want it to stay there, and be able to revegetate that area and have a small strip of fence there so that we can have some privacy from the garage when we're in the backyard.
So here.
And then along the front and along the side, we want to put arborvitae, so it's not a solid fence. We do want to take down the sugar maple. I love the way it looks, but it's hollowed out. And I don't want it to fall on any of our property or any, cause any damage or hurt anyone. We want to put a deck with a entrance coming from the building and an above ground with a small little deck that goes over to it.
Can folks see the plans?
Yes.
Okay. So again, stream, this is sort of like, I don't want to say manicured, but there's some ground cover next to the stream, and it's a little bit of a lawn where they mow. Then the large sugar maples there. So again, the whole side yard is within the 50-foot buffer. So it's one of those things that the commission is going to have to allow sort of a variance from their 50-foot no disturb, and agree on a different no disturb if they approve the project.
Meredith, I see at the very top, very top, the intermittent stream, and it's marked by the dashed line.
Yep.
But then as it goes down, I lose it. Where does it tie into?
It actually goes underground. I don't know where it goes. I think it goes underground and then like under the building or something, because this stream over here actually goes underground as well. See this SD, it means storm drain, right, Alex?
Yeah.
I always, hard to read plans sometimes. So these two streams, oh, you can't see when I'm doing that, come together somewhere underground and then flow. I don't know, Mrs. Turner might know. I think it flows maybe under the building and then.
It goes through the backyard and behind the.
Storm drain.
What's that?
Oh, sorry, I'm just reading the plan out loud and I see this SD, that means storm drain. So then it goes.
Right, it goes underground, it goes behind the shop, and then it goes out and it empties beyond our property line.
Okay.
On the other side. The intermittent stream, that is actually really, really wet with the runoff from the road. Mm-hmm. And it's worse in the spring than it is in the fall. So it comes down, we actually have like a swale that kind of catches it and keeps it kind of, yeah, rather than where it just continues to like absorb the lawn.
Meredith, can you show us on the sketch where this, the fence, I just saw it, okay.
Yeah. So
Diane mentioned putting up a fence.
So Diane, where will the fence tie into? If that shed, you're gonna remove the shed and revegetate with some native vegetation over there, and then the fence is gonna be just like, what's it gonna tie into?
We would have to actually make it, it's not gonna be very big. That's actually probably making it look bigger than what it would be. We wanna be able to get equipment like a lawnmower and stuff through there. Uh-huh. So I'd say maybe 8 feet at the very, very most. It would have to be freestanding. It would have to go from the house to a freestanding post.
Okay.
And then shrubs, I might have, because I really do love the lilacs, I may try to actually move some of them over to maybe that area along with some other native bushes. And I'm not much of a plant person, so I do know some that I really, really like. I like the milkweed. I like the lilacs. I like, well, not that they fit there, but paper birch. So I know, I know some native things.
Yeah, all those ones that you said are native, and river birch is also a good one that grows pretty quickly. Yeah, and you have a lot of lilacs. I was thinking that if you had the energy, you could dig them up. There's a lot of lilacs in the area where you want to put your pool.
Yes.
So Diane, I'm looking at your sketch. Are you able to see the sketch?
I am.
And you show the 18-inch above ground pool, and then you're going to build a deck there that'll be at water level. Is that what is that'll be attached to the existing house?
Well, it'll be a little bit lower, and that's where that little branch off comes to have steps go up to it. And that would actually be where a gate is too, to kind of block that off. So unless the pool is being used,
yeah,
it can be locked. I'm guessing with what I could see with the regulations that it'd probably be a 30-foot buffer. I would go with as close as I can go to the road legally.
Yeah, and you're comfortable that you're staying legal there?
I think
there was some question as to whether it was 15 feet, or did you figure that out?
Well, I think so. I took the arborvitaes and I put them at about 18 feet, and then the pool would be about 5 after that, because I've heard Meredith did send me a thing that said 10 feet, but I know there's like a 10-foot buffer to start with, so that would be 20. But then I heard somebody else tell me 25, so I kind of figured that was right about where it needed to be.
Okay, yep.
I guess just to illustrate the point, if anybody's not aware of the site, I mean, that's Route 20 right there on the bottom of this picture. So,
okay,
you know, and the front of the house is probably infringing on that zone because it's always been there, but it looks like they're attempting to stay beyond the, you know, the setback. But, you know, that's obviously high traffic, high visibility. So you are talking about a homeowner just, yes, they want to put a pool in, and then they just kind of want to have some privacy in their side yard. Which is, you know, the arborvitaes and things, and the highway is right there. So you're already talking about having this road there that Mass DOT is doing whatever they're doing to maintain. So it kind of puts in perspective what's being proposed on the lawn area adjacent to it, I guess, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion also, Alex, Diane, how old is this house? 17 what?
1785.
1785, and it used to be what?
It was a bathhouse for the wagons coming into Whip City, and they would stop. They would get cleaned up before they went into town.
Yep. It's similar in my mind to what we just did on Prospect Street Extension. It's a very established garden / lawn area, beautiful sugar maple tree that I will acknowledge looks like it's starting to be diseased in the center. It looks like it might want to split in half. Mm-hmm. And besides which, it would give way too much shade to a swimming pool. So I do think that if we're going to approve that, we have to say goodbye to that beautiful tree. It's just a really, really tight area. And as Alex said, it's practically on the road, practically on the highway. I did not see any other way that we could put a swimming pool on this property without making an exception and allowing another 30-foot no cut zone. But again, if the land is established, the Vinca, has been there forever. It's a tough one. It really is a tough one. I'm not comfortable saying no to the landowner. I'm getting soft or something, but I'm willing to bend on, once again, on I'm willing to take advantage of our discretion to be able to modify the 50-foot rule.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing any comments from anyone in the audience concerning this particular project? Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Tom?
I'll vote yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
Okay, I'll vote yes as well. Okay, do we have a motion on the recommendation?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I recommend we approve with a -3 determination with conditions. Condition 1, the conservation coordinator shall approve the erosion controls prior to the commencement of work. Condition 2, the erosion control shall be maintained in good condition until the conservation coordinator approves their removal. Condition 3, any disturbed soil shall be loamed, seeded, and revegetated prior to the removal of the erosion controls. Condition 4, at least 5 native shrub plantings where the old shed will be planted where the old shed will be removed. And condition 5, a no-mow zone of at least 25 feet adjacent to the stream shall be adhered to in perpetuity.
Thank you.
Sorry, you'll have to add in something about the tree if you're going to allow the tree to be cut, but maybe not stumped.
I would add a sixth condition that we allow the tree to be removed, but the stump should remain in place given its proximity to the resource.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Tom?
I'll vote yes.
Okay, Alex?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Diane, you do understand nothing within 25 feet, right? You
Yes,
got that message?
I do have one question. There's that pathway that's already lawn. Meredith had showed the picture. It actually walks from the back.
Yeah.
Where the ground cover is. Can we keep that as the walkway?
You're going to have to. Yes, you'll have to do that.
Okay. So yes, the vegetation that's there is staying put.
Yeah, Meredith will be out to visit you on occasion. So but good luck with the project. Enjoy the pool.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item D, 975 North Road. Again, continue from April 13th. Okay, do we have an update on this one, Meredith?
I don't know if the applicant's here. So this is the one, it's an existing building and they want to, I can grab the plan. I did another site visit with the applicant, but no one could make it. I don't know if anybody else was able to get there on their own, but they basically want to do some vegetation clearing, sort of along Route 202 there, so they can get visibility. It's an old boat building or something, and they're going to make it more of a place where people can come and view their products. So let me see if I can grab the plan so I can remember everything that was being asked. Yeah, here we go. Share screen.
2 items that I remember from last time that this was presented was that they were hoping to be able to move the septic system, which I think would be a good thing. It would end up a little bit farther away from the pond. And they were also going to remove most of the parking lot, most if not all of that front parking lot, which again, I think was a positive step in this area.
Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, Carl. They want to discontinue. Sorry, where is it? There's an existing septic and D box or something in the back, and they want to discontinue that and put in a new septic over here within the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone. And this is like it used to be a lay down area. It's all gravel and disturbed. So it's not new disturbance for this new septic, but they do want to cut down. They basically want to clear the trees around the building because they're putting a new roof on the building and these trees are leaning over. So that's part of this proposal. And then they want to cut some vegetation out here in the buffer zone. And then I don't know if the applicant's here, but when we met on site, they were saying, well, we'd like to cut some of these white pines. Oh yeah, see these damaged. They're not damaged. I don't know. That's not true, but there's quite a few large white pines that are really shading the property. It looks like they were planted there. They did agree there's a few larger white oaks over in this area that, or sorry, I'm not sure what kind of oaks, but they agreed to leave those. There is one dead white pine that's not shown here that they were asking me to remove. So I didn't have a problem with the dead one being cut, but I wasn't really sure what to say about the other trees. But ultimately, I mean, I think, you know, the septic going here is a better location than it being the leach field. I think the existing leach field is within 50 feet. It's in a pretty old system. And then they were saying they're going to remove this chain link fence and revegetate, make this a natural buffer. And then they want to do lawn in the back of the building and where the septic would go. Do you want me to, do you want to see some pictures or want to study this some more? I know it's hard on Zoom to see everything.
I went out and saw this site. Carl, have you been by? Do you remember Lambert's?
I did go by, yes. I wasn't able to make the site visit, but I did go by on my own.
Yeah, and I also on my own. Meredith, I totally share your opinion on those beautiful, tall white pines that are between the building and the pond.
Yeah.
You know, these, I don't know when they were planted, probably 50, 60, 70 years ago, but they're like perfect. You know, they're gorgeous. They're spaced, looks like perfectly spaced, maybe like 15, 20 feet apart from each other. I don't see how that's even going to really improve visibility of his building from Route 202, to be honest. So I would fight to keep those. The other trees, I can understand that they may have to go. And as Carl said, I like the idea that the septic will be modernized. And I like the idea that part of the parking lot will become a buffer zone once again, which is inside the 50-foot line. I don't know why he needs, you know.
I think because it's visibility. I think they just want, but
yeah, well, if you want visibility, take out the stuff in between. Not, you know, the pines are so tall, they're not, you know,
right.
I don't think that they're.
Right, so they could take down some of the little smaller stuff and then I was envisioning in this area, some native shrubs and naturalizing that part a little bit more. So here's a zoomed out view of the large white pines that they were requesting. But you're right. I mean, I think it does make sense to maybe allow some of the smaller stuff to be.
I'd almost argue that we keep that back fence. You know, I don't know why that doesn't remain there.
I think it's just not pretty, but fair enough. That's a valid comment.
Yeah, the fence along the highway, I can see that's where he wants to do his septic. That's going to be a casualty. But
I think it's just not pretty.
Yeah. Is the applicant here, Mr. Chairman?
I don't think so.
In that case, I'm ready to give you a motion that we continue it and send out word through Meredith that that we'd like him to reconsider, you know, 6 or 7 of those white pines that he's marked for the chainsaw.
There may be other things.
There may be other information we also need.
Yes, Bob.
I have a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Is there any possibility that those pines could be limbed so he could get his visibility?
They don't have that many limbs, really.
Okay.
Because, you know, they're so tall, like the limbs have already kind of fallen, but
So obviously they're not blocking visibility then.
No, because they're so tall. It's just the smaller stuff I think is blocking.
Just a quick comment about the fence, Mr. Chair. I think if, you know, the property owner is talking about removing it, you know, we tell him he's got to keep it. He's not really going to do much to maintain it. It's just going to kind of become more of a mess than it already is. You know, I don't have an issue. I know taking the fence out is perhaps you know, some kind of a disturbance down there, but I think ultimately if he wants the fence out and we get him to agree to like a no mow zone, no disturb zone in there anyway, you know, the fences would be behind that and he'd always be inclined to clear up to it. So I think getting the fence out of there and establishing the line that we kind of want to keep on that edge is a better, you know, a naturalized line is a better long-term. Even if we, you know, I think we've done before, cut the post off at the surface and fill them and stuff, so there's no disturbance. But, you know, if that's the concern, you know, you can take that approach. But I don't know. If he doesn't want it, he's not going to take care of it. And if he doesn't take care of it, it's just going to get worse. So I'm okay with it going.
I'm okay with that. I'm all right with the idea of you know, putting some boulders there or putting some other, you know, maybe one of those cute little frogs that we have that say conservation area, resource area.
It sounds like we've got some things to discuss with the applicant. So, Tom, you were going to make a motion to continue.
I will. I'll make a motion that we continue this until our next meeting.
All right, do you have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, Tom?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. All right, item E, 400 Western Avenue, Stanley Park. Repair of an existing boardwalk. So in accordance with the provisions of the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, a public meeting will be held on April 27, 2021 by virtual meeting. This hearing is for a request for determination of applicability submitted by Stanley Park for the repair of an existing boardwalk located at 400 Western Avenue near the duck pond. I think we have Bob McKean with us.
Yes, we do. And there is the president of the board is also behind the scenes, and she will answer anything or help us with anything that we can have. So we're honored to be here. Okay, so why don't you present your project, Bob? Okay, this first one is a major walkway. It's the longest one, and it shows, and I think there's a map we gave Meredith. It shows where it is. The walkway that shows there is from the top, and it's around the pond down to this little area that you see there now. What happened over the years, it was put in probably about 33 to 35 years ago. And it started to dip towards the pond as it just wore out. And back then they didn't use helical piers. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I think that's what you all will know that. Mm-hmm. But what we're going to do is it's 365 feet, but we're only needing to repair about 230. Now, over the years, we've had to repair it, of course, and, you know, had a tree fall down and so on, trees fall down and everything. But we can repair it by pulling out what's there, because some of them are just rocks, and then they were put on rocks, basically. But we want to put I can't pronounce it, helical piers, so that it would make it safe for everybody as well. We've had to close it down. We thought we'd be more better to serve our people who visit by closing it, and we've had it closed now for about almost 2 months. And they miss it. They really do. And we want to make it safe for them. And, you know, all of you probably know Stanley Park. And 70, almost 73 years ago, Mr. Beveridge came along and did all of this with so many people that paid it forward to us. We, as not only board members, but the people and our visitors, want to help it pay it forward for the next generations that keep coming, so that we can have a safe place to go and do it the right way. We know for a fact that anything we do in the park, we try. We've done a lot of big things in it. We did that new pavilion that we thought we couldn't do. We did that, and we did it by all the rules we had to do as far as what you all cover. And we're going to do the same here. All we're doing is replacing and fixing. We're not building anything new in that area. So I don't know if there's any other questions that you might have of what it is. It's it will be safe and much safer, and will be that way for many, many years. And you know, we're going to be looking at other things that we have to do in the park, and we can only obviously do so many of them in a short period of time, because we're also looking at the Carillon Tower that's going to come down the road too, because that's a big place, but there's no water around that one, so not too bad there. Any questions or?
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah,
I was wondering about whether, sorry, Tom, I was wondering whether any kind of erosion controls will be necessary or practical in that area.
Well, right now, we don't know whether or not we'll have to do that, but we certainly have enough that from the people of the professionals said if we put these on helical piers, that it's going to just keep it so that it's going to last and not be down. Because I guess when they put those in there, they're going to stay there much better than what we've had for the last 30 some odd years. This past winter was bad for us. That's why it really went further down than we thought, but we knew it was coming.
Carl, due to the location of the boardwalk, I'm not sure if erosion controls are possible, because it's so close to the edge.
Yeah, I sort of wonder that myself, whether that even is a possibility.
So
yeah, that's probably that's what we're talking about, but you're probably 100% right.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of that either. And I will say helical piers are pretty much no impact. That's the point of them. They get driven in and there's no digging. They're just pile driven. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
So there's no soil disturbance, and it's not wetland fill. So it's like they're the best thing you can do in a buffer in a wetland. I'm not exactly sure where the boardwalk is, but it's pretty close to the pond.
Yeah.
But it's already there. I mean,
I've got a question, Bob. You said that some of the boardwalk pillars rest on rocks. So how are you going?
Well, we considered them rocks. It was just anything they could find back then, but they made it strong back then. But it was just a few of them that are there. It's not as bad as I'm probably making it to be. But it's we just don't want to have anybody get hurt, because so many people are out there, and we know we can do it. We can do it right. We've got people that are going to come in and do it safely, and it's going to be really nice for generations to come.
Okay, thank you. Other questions?
Yeah, I'll just second what Bob said. But first, let me say hi, Bob, and hi, Angela.
How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good, thank you. We've worked with Stanley Park folks before. They're true tree huggers. I have no qualms that they will do the right job environmentally.
What's your time scale? What's your time scale, Bob?
Well, we want to move as fast. Well, we want to move as fast as possible. And like I said, we've already talked to all we need is your okay, and then we get a building permit so that we can start moving, and it'll move in weeks. We'll move it, but we want to make sure that we do it right.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience concerning this particular project? Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Tom?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Do a motion on the recommendation?
I'll make a motion. I'll recommend that we approve this with a -3 determination. The one condition that I would add is that the commission shall be notified when work will start and when it is completed.
Absolutely.
I don't think that any kind of erosion controls are necessary.
I'll second that motion, Carl.
You okay with removing those two, Meredith?
Yeah, I just put them in just because I wasn't sure exactly what was needed. So I think that's perfect.
Okay, so we do have a second. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Tom?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. Okay, item F, Stanley Park again. So in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, public meeting will be held on April 27, 2021 by virtual meeting. This hearing is for a request for determination of applicability submitted by Stanley Park for the repair of an existing water pump building located at 400 Western Avenue in the 200-foot riverfront area adjacent to the Little River. Okay, Bob again.
Well, thank you for the first vote. And but this one here, if you can pick up that picture again, Meredith, if you could. This building was built many years ago, and it was there obviously to help with the watering and everything else from there. And over the years it has deteriorated a little bit, and we obviously, you can see it down there right below the little arrows that I drew. The thing is that we got to have, it has to be safe. We have to make sure we're only going to be replaced. The only thing that's going to be changed, we got to put another roof on it, but the wall in the back needs to be repaired or possibly replaced. That's away from the river. And the one in the front has just a couple of patches that we want to do. It's going to replace the door. It's going to fix the floor that's inside, because obviously the pumps are in there. And it's just going to be much better. And then also what we're going to do is the new pumps, compared to what the old ones we've had, will definitely be more modern, and it'll save everybody everything for not only consumption of electricity, but also be more safe and everything else that's around there. And the only thing that we talked about, I guess there's a lot of invasive species down there as well. But other than that it's not going to be tampered with whatsoever, other than just the work.
Okay, questions from the commission?
I guess I just wanted to quickly clarify that there really will be no change in the footprint of that building due to the work. Is that correct?
None whatsoever. Oh, well, we have to be down there to work a little bit, but no, we're not making any more footprint out of it. The two pipes that come out the back, and they're in the pictures, I guess they're in the back. Those will be just fixed and replaced at that very beginning. And they're all that we've used forever, and it goes right underground. And other than that, there's going to be it'll probably look nicer, but it'll be fair and balanced there. That'll be taken care of. That's Angela there. Hi, Angela.
Other questions? Has other people from the commission ever seen this pump house?
I've seen it.
Okay. Me too. It does need some work. Okay. All right. Any other concerns from the commission? Any questions or concerns from the audience concerning this particular project? Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second
that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carl?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. We have a motion on the recommendation.
I'll make a recommendation to approve the project with a -3 determination, with the conditions that the commission shall be notified when the work will start and when it is completed. that any erosion controls will be installed if that's applicable. And that can be determined with consultation with the commissioner. I will recommend that any disturbed soil shall be loam seeded and revegetated prior to removal of any erosion controls, and that the coordinator will approve the placement and removal of.
I'll give that a second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Carl?
He totally froze.
I did?
No, Carl did. He froze right at the end of his motion.
Right,
everybody thought he stopped talking, but he totally just like hung up. He just got through it. It was perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so we do have a second. Again, all in favor, Carl?
Yes.
Okay. Alex?
Yes.
Tom?
I'll vote yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. All right. Good luck, Bob.
And if I just may say, not only thank you to you all, you're doing your job very well, and we appreciate working with you. And as I mentioned earlier, to Meredith and Chris, who helped us out a lot, because this is a big project, and we appreciate their help in this.
Yeah, thank you all.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
All right, item G, 27 Angelica Drive. Removal of 33 trees within the 200-foot riverfront area. So in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, public meeting will be held on April 27, 2021 by virtual meeting. Hearing is for a request for determination of applicability submitted by Joseph Martin and Marissa Fistola for the potential removal of 33 trees within the 200-foot riverfront area located at 27 Angelica Drive. Meredith.
Yeah, hi. I think the applicants are here tonight. I haven't had a chance to visit the property, but I've been speaking with the applicants, the homeowners, new homeowners to Westfield, and this is that newer subdivision up off of Northwest Road there. We had a notice of intent, order of conditions to permit all the lots, and they stayed out of the riverfront area, but now it seems like some of the trees are of concern to the homeowner. And like I said, I haven't had a chance to get out there and take a look. And we talked, Marissa and I talked on Friday, I think, and they want 33 trees, but they were amendable to scaling that back. And if you guys, thank you for coming tonight, and if you'd like to just talk about your project, that'd be great.
Sure. Thank you guys for having us. We moved here back in July, and we love the trees that are here. It's actually probably one of the first things I commented on when we looked at the house. But with the recent winds, there have been a lot of the trees are actually in poor condition, and they're weak. And have been blowing down in the woods. We've had a couple come down in people's yards. And so I'm losing sleep at night because of the proximity of some of them to our home and our driveway. And so we're hoping to do some selective cutting to remove some of the ones that are just putting our home at risk, and, happy to potentially replace with other vegetation. We have no intention of expanding our lawn or anything, but really the main concern is just I'm losing sleep at night with all these heavy winds. And they're all pines that are marked. Some are dead and some are just in really poor condition. Others are just large and extremely tall and close to the home. If they were to come down on either, near the driveway, our cars would be toast. So.
All right, well, thank you. Again, as Meredith mentioned, we do need to come out and take a look at the site and evaluate, which trees you'd like to take down. So I think Meredith would arrange a site visit for herself and members of the commission with you to come out and take a look at that in the next week or so.
Okay.
In the meantime, Mr. Chairman, are the trees marked? So when we do go out, we'll have an idea.
That would be helpful if you could somehow mark the ones you want to take out.
We have marked them, yep.
You have, okay.
Yep, we have green tape around them.
Okay. Well, thank you.
They're all within, just so you're aware, they're all within kind of the distal 40 to 50 feet of that 200-foot buffer of the brook that runs in the back of our property. So the closest to the home.
Okay, so they're beyond 150 feet from the river?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Okay, Meredith, any comments before we continue?
No, I was just wondering, something for the homeowner to consider is maybe topping. I don't know if we'd want to top some potentially top trees rather than cut them to the ground. And I would recommend planting some native shrubs, low growing native stuff. I understand it's a pine forest. There's not a lot of light getting through. Typically there's not a lot of diversity in the understory. So, for the commission, the selective cutting is actually a great tool to enhance diversity in a forest and create more habitat. And I think something we would want to make clear if and when we permit this is that we don't want the lawn expanding, and we want to maintain the forested riverfront area as vegetated naturally. And lots of wildlife like standing dead things. Even if they are just 25 feet tall, you'll get tons of woodpeckers and different species of birds. And that's important, especially in a place like Westfield that's getting highly developed. So Meredith, something to consider, yeah.
When you began, you reminded us that when we approved this as a development, we were specific about 200 feet. Is that what you were telling me?
Well, yeah. So as part of that order of conditions, there was no work proposed in the riverfront area. So that's how they actually only filed as a local ordinance only because they just had a small isolated wetland at the front of the, where the Angelica Drive hits Northwest Road. I guess there's a small isolated wetland. So when they permitted this, they didn't propose any alterations in riverfront area, which under the Wetlands Protection Act is considered a resource area. It's not a buffer, it's a resource area. It's actually considered a wetland, almost the same as a wetland. But we can allow some tree clearing. There are signs, and that's why I want to go out there and kind of work with the homeowner and figure out, because they said some of the signs were moved and trees fell down and they don't really know where the riverfront area is. So there's a potential that they maybe some of the trees aren't in riverfront. So
this is true.
But yes, to answer your question, Tom, this was permitted without any alteration to riverfront.
Right.
Correct.
However, that was a big project, cutting that forest, putting all those houses in there. Okay, so Meredith will contact you about a site visit. And welcome to Westfield.
Great, thank you.
Our next meeting's May 11th, just FYI. Right? Yeah. May 11th.
I'll make a motion that we continue this until our next meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that. Oh, go ahead, kid.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carl?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes. Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. Okay, item H,
Thank
5
you.
Ryder Road. Thank you. Installation of a pool and a deck, fencing, patio, driveway, and retaining wall. In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, a public meeting will be held on April 27, 2020 by virtual meeting. This hearing is for a request of determination of applicability submitted by Mildred Kobahashian for the installation of a pool, fencing, driveway, and retaining wall within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands located at 5 Ryder Road. Okay, we have our applicant.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, would you like to tell us about your project?
Yes. So a couple of the things that I was looking to do, I know that this is a 3-year thing, so I'm looking at these projects over the next few years. As you probably know, lumber prices are extremely high right now. But I wanted to take down my deck that's kind of looks like it's not in the best condition, and then make it bigger, just to have more use. And then on the side of my house, I have a long driveway. I did draw my own drawing. I apologize. I don't know if it's not professional enough, but it really gives you the basic ideas. The driveway is long next to the house, and then there's open space on the other side of it. Oh, there's my pretty drawing. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It really gives you an idea though, like it really does. So you can see the house, and on the side of the house, it's all driveway right now.
Yeah.
And it goes down towards the back. I wanted to make the driveway go out longer and put off the side of the house there a patio, and then possibly a pool over the next couple of years right there.
Yeah, so if I think the wetland is on the, if north was up, which I'm not sure.
Yes, yes. So where
the wetland's on the right.
Yeah, so the wetlands on the
here.
right end of the page, yep, and then Ryder Road is on the left.
Yes.
And where it says woods and trees, that's woods and trees, which then leads to 202.
Yeah, so this is it's a dead end, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so there's 202, it's a side street off 202 there. And I think I looked at it with you.
Yeah, you measured it. We measured it together, and you thought that my measurements were really good, and you asked me how I did it. So, you know, we did go back there and measure that part on the bottom out of the driveway.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So I went and looked just to see what was out there. So there's a nice wetland complex. And then, right, we measured 50 feet out. I'm having a hard time remembering.
Yeah, we measured 50 feet from where the driveway is, but then like over behind the deck, it goes further back.
Right.
Okay. And then off like to my neighbor's house, which would be the top of the page we're looking at, it's like a little bit closer to her house and more of like a pond, but that's a little bit further up. So.
Yeah. So I think the commission might want to look at this site because
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is now that I'm remembering, this is there's a driveway and kind of a lawn, and it's and it sounds like you can stay 50 feet outside of, or just work in the outer 50-foot buffer zone, because I think I told you we have we try to keep projects outside of 50 feet of the wetland resource area.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what we had measured, both of us, was we were outside of the 50 feet.
Okay.
We were, I think we're, you know, between the 50 and 100. I think I noted that somewhere because that's how we had measured it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know if the commission wants to do a site visit. I mean, it's, the one other thing I would say about the plan is that we would want to see some just, you know, like a red dotted line where erosion controls would be installed.
Yeah, I did kind of just draw that on there, but I'm very open to making sure that that's correct. You know, obviously for the conservation, but also because any erosion that happens is just going to take away from my property, my project, and my house. You know, it'll just start pushing it away. I mean, I'd like to do more erosion control permanently, just because it's been, you know, pushing back, and there's been a lot of, I think I discussed with you when you were here, a lot of trees have been falling in the woods up behind the water. With these winds, as the last person's discussing, you know, my family heard in the background and they said, that's you. I panic at night because the trees, I've had 2 city trees come across the road. One fell on my truck after I got my truck fixed. There's another pine there and the branch came off and damaged my truck again. Once was last April and once was in August. And then I forget the actual date, but one of the trees in my backyard, which would be to the left side of my deck, I think it was just like, I don't know if it was a microburst, but it just took the whole top of the tree off. And if it had moved, if it had gone a couple inches the other way, it would have just ripped my deck off. And I wouldn't have even, it would be a whole different project I'd be asking for here. But I got lucky and it didn't. So the tree top is still there, laying there, because I know you're going to be coming out and looking and stuff. So I just left it. But I'm not asking to remove any trees or anything. Everything that I'm doing is already within stuff that's, you know, where the patio want to put is where the driveway currently is, and that. So I guess, you know, one of the biggest things would be the erosion control, which I'm completely open to whatever is asked of me.
Since you're moving things around, before we come out, could you actually put some stakes in the ground showing us the, you know, the corners of your pool, the corners of the deck, so we have a better idea of how they relate to the buffer zone?
I could probably like draw in chalk. I know that sounds silly, but part of it's the driveway.
Okay, that's be fine, yeah.
Oh yeah, I can do that. I've done that before. I can chalk it out and stuff when you come. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, yeah, we do need a site visit, so we will have to continue to the next meeting.
Okay.
So Meredith will be contacting you and some commissioners will be coming out to take a look at it as well.
Okay, and I have a lot of availability, so if people, you know, happen to need to come at different times, that's fine as well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Any other questions before we get a motion to continue? Seeing none, entertain a motion to continue.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, Carl?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Yep.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Okay.
Thanks, Millie.
Item I. So there's a note to request to take agenda item 5C out of order. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Tom?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
And Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. So item 5C is an enforcement on 36 Janelle Drive. Do we have an update? Meredith?
Yes, I received a written restoration plan from the...
Your microphone cut out, Meredith.
Yeah. We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Sorry.
There you go. You're back.
Thank you.
I knew that was going to happen at some point. So we received a written restoration plan. It seemed appropriate for what we had discussed last time. They are going to reseed and restore the buffer zone that was filled and replace the trees that they cut. The trees that they are proposing are river birch.
You cut out again. Meredith, we can't hear you.
Wow. What did you guys miss? Where do I begin?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Okay. We received a written restoration plan that they're going to loam and seed the fill that they brought in and replace the trees that they planted with. They're proposing river birch or red maple, flowering crabapple or flowering pear. And they did install straw wattles adjacent between the wetland and the open soil. So that was good. And I appreciated they sent me some pictures and got that done right away. So I'm happy with the written restoration plan. I just think we need to kind of come up with sort of a no-mow zone. So this is in, they also want to put in a fence. So they filed an RDA for their chain link fence that they want to install. And then we're dealing with the encroachment on the buffer zone, which is actually on Mr. Beltrandi's property. So off their property. So I don't know if the applicant is here, if they want to speak more about the restoration plan. I think
Melissa.
Hi.
Hi.
So as I spoke with you on Friday, Meredith, so we're just looking to, as you already mentioned, the BC loan that was brought in, and then we're going to replant the trees. So the reseeding area was previously grass, and we have in-ground sprinkler system in. And then our fence, which is the separate RDA, is it's privacy white vinyl fencing across the front and sides of our yard and black chain link across the back. And I did provide a map. I'm not sure if you received that, Meredith. So when we spoke on Friday, you mentioned how providing measurements would be very helpful. So we measured where the skunk cabbage was, as you had mentioned, for the BVW wetland edge up. So we did the 2 corners as well as in the center. And so we have on the right side, it's 31 feet, the middle's 36, and the left side's 45 feet. So that 50-foot buffer, it's the right side is 19 feet from the property line, middle is 14 feet from the property line, and the left side is 5 feet from the property line.
Hang on, let me share. Can you guys see this plan?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So Melissa did a nice, this was the original subdivision plan that I gave her and she marked it up. So again, wetland in the back of the property, 50-foot buffer is a bit off their property line. 100-foot buffer goes well into the yard, well over the pool, which the previous homeowner did not get a permit for the pool, but I think that's moot at this point since it's a new homeowner. So, Melissa, where would you put the fence, I guess?
So we were hoping to put the fence 6 to 12 inches from the property line all across the backyard. So where the green is kind of where I was proposing the fence, but we are open to suggestions.
Okay, and then it would go up the sides there.
Correct.
Okay.
We have an infant and a toddler as well as a dog. In our previous house that we lived in had a fenced-in backyard, so our dog is used to being able to run around freely. So.
I hear that.
So we've wandered into the other hearing, but where is the property line and where is the area that was disturbed? How big an area is that? Property line is?
The property line is like the red part on the map, and the area that was disturbed is along the property line and a little bit behind it. And it's, I believe when we measured it, Meredith, it was like 85, 90 feet across.
And then how far to the south, if this is a north-south oriented drawing? How far did you encroach on your neighbor's property?
I would say probably 5 to 10 feet.
Yeah, and Meredith, you're suggesting that the homeowners, that they restore this, and then we'll talk about the fence after that's done. Is that where we're going with this?
I wasn't. yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure. I mean, would like to get it restored as soon as possible since it's not on their property. And I don't know what the commission would want to do, if you want to simultaneously allow the fence to be put somewhere.
What's involved in the restoration? Planting grass? Planting shrubs? Just planting grass? I mean, what was there before?
Grass.
Natural woods before.
So it was grass all along our property to the property line, and then natural woods, that's where we're going to replant the trees.
So you already have you have a restoration plan. And how many trees does that include?
There were 7 total.
Would we be doing it backwards if we asked that the restoration be completed before we rule on a fence? I mean, putting the fence in isn't going to, you're not going to be encroaching on the newly restored area, right? This time you'll.
If I may, Tom?
Yeah.
It would be impossible to do it the other way, because they'd have to, if they put the fence up, they wouldn't be able to get to the part that they need to restore.
Well, that's a good point.
So we would be able to get to the part that we have to restore, because our fence is going to be, like we said, about a foot off the property line, and we're going to have we will be having a gate in the back there in case we ever have our kid have a toy that goes over the fence or something like that we need to get. We will be there will be a gate there, so we will be able to get to that back area.
I actually I discussed this with Melissa's mother, and I'm opposed to a gate in the back. It makes no sense to me, because I have a trespass order, and as soon as they open the gate, they're trespassing. So there's no reason to have a gate there.
It's depending on where the fence will be.
Well, if it's 6 inches off the line, I don't see how you can accomplish anything.
That's all immaterial to our concerns here, quite frankly.
Yeah, we're doing the restoration plan right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Beltrandi, to your point, if you're not going to grant any permission on your land to do the restoration, then yeah, the fence would have to, they'd either have to use this gate or it'd have to wait, So if you're going to do no trespass, and other than the exact area they need to restore, then yeah, the homeowner needs to account for that in their sequencing here. But I guess that's the limit of our concern with the fence.
Okay.
So again, I would suggest we ask the homeowner to do the restoration and give us a chance to check it out, and then come back to us on this, or we'll continue the fence RDA.
Well,
we're not even there yet.
We haven't gotten to that yet.
Well, when we get to it, that's what I mean.
Let's just deal with the restoration now.
All right, that's kind of what I was saying.
Yeah, is the commission comfortable with the proposed restoration plan?
Sounds like they're putting back what came out, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
all right. Any other concerns, Meredith?
I'm comfortable with them planting 7 of the proposed trees. I think I would like to see river birch, and I guess since it's not on their property, would we want Mr. Beltrandi to chime in on what is being replaced? I think there were black cherries cut, and they're proposing the river birch and the flowering crabapple and flowering pear. I'm comfortable with those, but I think it's.
No, and that's fine. I think they're native species and they're on your species list. So, I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make sure that it gets done and that there's no further encroachment.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I don't love lawn. I want it to be back. I don't love the lawn up to in the buffer zone. There was never a permit to actually have lawn. If you look at the old aerials where the house was, there was all woods back there before the pool got put in without a permit. But again, that's not these folks' responsibility, because the house changed hands. So I think if we just get those trees put in and get it revegetated with lawn and see some growth,
Yeah, and if you were to come look at the site, you would also notice that both our neighbors have lawn up to the same area that we do as well.
Yeah, fair enough. That's true.
Yeah, and what's happened is that when I originally put that subdivision in, if you see the line, limit of work line, as soon as everybody bought those houses, that limit of work line disappeared. Okay, and that's pretty typical. But in this case, we've gone beyond the limit of work line now off the property. So,
Okay, well, thank you. All right, so it seems like the commission is comfortable with the restoration plan as written. So do we have a motion to approve the restoration plan?
So moved.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Meredith, we should probably include a timeline here.
Yes, okay. Give them a month to replant. I mean, I don't know.
That's reasonable. And if we do it before then, can we then discuss the RDA? Like, I can let you know so people can come out and see it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I would say get it planted, pick the 7 things, seven shrubs or trees, and hopefully you can do an even amount of river birch and 1 crabapple or 1 flowering pear. And then, yeah, let us know when we'll come to a site visit and we'll move forward with the other project.
Meredith, if I could.
Yeah.
On advice from my attorney, I just need a hold harmless before anybody does any work on the property.
Okay. How does that,
that would be from the homeowner, that's doing the work. They're going to need to provide a hold harmless so that in the event something happens and they're injured while they're on the property,
okay,
it's not something that I'm liable for.
Are you okay with them watering these trees 6 months down the road? These new trees are going to need to be watered or they'll just turn into sticks.
Yeah, that's
so it's okay if they stretch a hose over.
That's fine.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second, Colleen? We do. Okay. Any further discussion? Oh, okay. So as soon as the work gets done, then we can move on to the consideration of the RDA. So, all right.
So do we need to amend the motion to include the protection that the next door neighbor is looking for? That before work begins, and I've lost what you're looking for, to be honest, but that
what I'm looking for is just so that in the event something's going on there and they're injured while they're on my property, they can't make a claim against me. They're holding me harmless because they're replacing the damage that they did, but I don't want the liability of it.
Yeah, so we need to put that into the motion so that we have that prior to any work that takes place off of their own property.
I mean, isn't that more of a legal deal and not the conservation issue?
Well,
I think we could.
I think that if you're granting them the authority to do the restoration on another person's property, and I'm in favor of it, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't want to be liable for anything if something happens. I want to make sure that I'm held harmless. And I think that's a reasonable request that anybody would make.
All right, well, we can include it in the motion.
So I guess the motion would be until, if I may, until I receive the hold harmless, they're not allowed to be on the property to do the work. And it's a simple 1-page document.
Okay. Is that agreeable to the commission?
Who made the motion?
I don't know.
Are they willing to amend the motion?
Carl did.
Carl?
Okay, I will amend it then that work will not commence until a document to hold the owner of the damaged property to be held harmless, and then the work can start.
Yes, Alex.
Yeah, I guess is that Mr. Beltrán? Do you have a form for them to sign? Is that Or are you looking for them to produce it?
It's something that I can get. That's not a problem.
I'm just timeline wise, I know you're not looking to obstruct this, and then I totally understand why you want this. We obviously want the restoration done as quick as possible. So, you know, but
so what I will do is I have an attorney. I'll have him just prepare a 1-page document that just, you know, releases my wife and I from any liability.
Yep. And
once they sign that, then, you know, they can get the restoration done.
If you can do that to help, you know, that appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Just send a copy to Meredith.
I will. I'll copy everything to her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, so Mr. Chairman, procedurally, we would now seek the second to also amend his second. I don't know who seconded Carl's motion, but to be correct and proper, the second needs to acknowledge it's an amended motion.
Who seconded it, Colleen?
It was Alex.
Yeah, I will second the amended motion.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Tom?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to return to normal order.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Tom?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
And Cliff?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. So again, this is item I, 36 Chanel Drive. Accordance with provisions, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, public meeting will be held on April 27, 2021 by virtual meeting. This hearing is stressed for determination applicability submitted by Paul and Melissa Anselli for the installation of a chain link fence within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands located at 36 Janelle Drive.
I'll make a motion that we continue this until the until enforcement. It would be 5C until we receive satisfaction that remediation on 5C has been complete.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. I have a question here. They just mentioned the chain link fence, but the two side fences are also going to be within 100-foot buffer zone. Is that right, Meredith?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. It didn't say that in the application.
Okay, so
that's, the application should say it. I believe I wrote white vinyl privacy fencing along the front and sides of the yard.
Okay, so that's in the application?
Correct.
All
I can
right.
I'll re-email the application that I sent Meredith.
I might have missed it, but yes,
Okay.
It should be noted that they want to put side vinyl fencing on the sides of their property and then the chain link fence on the back.
All right. Okay, all in favor? Tom?
Yes, to continue.
Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I will too. Okay. Thank you. Okay, item 5, enforcement. 1223 East Mountain Road. Applicant requests continuance until May 11th.
I'm sorry, that's a mistake. I got a restoration, a stream crossing plan today, this morning, that I forwarded, and I believe the applicant's engineer is here to discuss that, if the commission wants them to.
Okay.
Sorry, when I put these together, I didn't have the plan yesterday. So I haven't really had a chance to review the plan because it just came in this morning. But their engineer.
I'm glad. For one, I'd be happy to hear from this new engineer, this new consultant, but I'm going to vote that we continue it, you know, give the rest of us a chance to look at it.
I agree with that too, and that it would be useful to be able to answer to ask a few questions, but I think we do need a little more time to chew on this before we make any kind of a decision.
But do you want a presentation first?
I would like a presentation because I
would too, but not tonight. Yeah.
Oh, not tonight.
I would
Okay.
very much like a presentation, but I don't think it's fair. The hour is getting late.
Mm-hmm.
The applicants sent it in yesterday. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think any of us really had a chance to really study this yet.
Okay, then I will reiterate my request to have a motion to continue to 5/11.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Tom?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, item B, 394 Northwest Road. Okay.
I've received no updates on this, except I don't know if Mr. Barry is here this evening. He emailed me, and if he is, please unmute yourself. So we're continuing to wait for a restoration plan for the restoration of the riverfront at this property that was clear cut. And they are asking, he asked if they can install a new underground propane tank next to the house. Well, I didn't feel comfortable saying yes to that until I brought it before you guys. It seems like a reasonable request given that, you know, it's an existing house, they're restoring it, it's a very old farmhouse. I forget, David and I were there a couple months ago.
Right.
In the vicinity, in the immediate vicinity of the house is obviously your typical side yard type. There's like stone walkways and we should probably do a site visit once we get a restoration plan, but it seems like a reasonable request to do a propane tank in the right adjacent to the house. So what do you guys think?
I guess my concern is, what does the word next mean? I mean, how close to the house is it?
I can ask. That was all. I was just told next to. So
my initial reaction to that was, do we have jurisdiction over that? Is that sort of fire department who approves that, or building department or something like that, who maybe has more jurisdiction over that than we do?
Yeah, we have a cease and desist on the property because the whole site's in riverfront. But that's a good point. And the propane tank, it could be a gas tank of propane. That is a water tank. That doesn't matter. Like they need to go through the proper channels with the city. But I think the question is, especially because it's going to be underground, are we going to allow that in the riverfront area?
Well, Meredith, propane tank does have to be signed off and done with the fire department, and it has to be done with the building department.
Okay.
Just so you know, I mean, I you know, so they're not going to let anything go that's, well, you know.
Right. They're obviously going to have to get approval from other city agencies. So thank you for that information.
Maybe you can contact building department, see if they have a plan.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or ask the homeowner for a plan.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so for the commission, if it is adjacent to the house, is it really our purview to grant permission? I guess if we do have a cease and desist, you want to give Meredith the go ahead if it is adjacent to the house to tell them to go ahead and build it, or to dig it and put it in there. What I remember, the yard directly around the house is rather disturbed.
Yeah.
You know, it's not pristine at all. So, digging a hole and putting one of these in is probably not going to make it any worse than it is right now.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. It's a good point. It's already disturbed. It's already, it's a side yard essentially.
And it's outside the 100-foot buffer. Is that right?
I think the whole, because the house is from like, I want to say the 1700s, 1800s. I mean, the whole property is within the river, 200-foot riverfront area. But again, this was built so long ago that it's like an old farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably outside of the 100-foot riverfront area. I think it's, yeah. It would be acceptable to have improvements to this home that they're restoring.
Yeah, I think I remember this project, so I remember the site anyway.
Yeah, we should probably check it out at some point when we get a restoration plan.
Well, just check the building, and if it's close enough to the house, I would say let them go ahead and do it.
Okay. Okay.
If that's
yeah, I was just gonna say, Mr. Chairman, I don't think you want to hold back on somebody heating their house or fuel in their, cooking means, especially if it's close, you know what I mean? Like you said, and it passes the fire department and the building department.
And to answer your question, David, I'm totally comfortable with the administrator making the call on this.
Okay. All right. So to make this, I guess, a paper trail here, let's have a motion to that effect. You want to make that motion, Tom?
Sure. I'll make a motion that regarding, where are we? 394 Northwest Road, that the enforcement order, that we instruct the administrator to resolve this. How's that?
I love it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you have a second?
Sure, I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Tom?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. All right, item 6, discussion. To Ascutney Ave. Request for a certificate of compliance. Meredith.
Yep. So Mr. Palucci, I hope I said that right. This was a notice of intent that was filed for Wagner Rugs. They were updating the old Midas building to be used for their rug business, and they, as part of that project, I don't know if Nico's here. Yeah, if you want to speak to the project, but it sounds like you completed that project. You purchased and removed a garage onto Ascutney to compensate for the comp storage that was filled with bumping out the Midas bays, essentially. Is that
correct
summary?
Yep.
Okay. So, and that's all done, right? The garage is taken
so
down.
the garage was torn down, and we put our blocking up where we wanted to at the Midas location, 302 East Main Street. So all of that has been completed. So I was just looking to kind of hopefully close it out or whatever.
Meredith, you have a question about an as-built plan for a demoed building. Perhaps a photograph of the location before and after. There must be a picture around of the building that was supposed to be destroyed, correct?
I'm sure there is. I never got over there to see it. Okay. I did give them approval to take it down.
Mr. Payolt, let's see. Do you have a picture of the building before you took it down?
I should have one probably from the original listing when I had to buy this house.
Okay.
I'm of the garage standing prior, and it's gone now, so I could just got one.
Yeah.
It might be in the notice of intent. Actually.
It was something that Rob Levesque's team's on, and they're pretty thorough, so I'm sure they hopefully put it all in there.
So perhaps a photograph of the area without the building would suffice to be an as-built plan.
Yeah, definitely. That could be included in the file.
Yeah.
And I had a quick question for the applicant, if I may.
Sure.
Are you planning to bank any of the storage area, the equivalent of the removed building?
Yeah, I was hoping it was getting banked onto the 302. I don't know if it gets put on the deed or whatever. For future work, just in case we needed it.
Yeah, then it seems to me that it would really be a good idea to have a fairly specific measure of the area of the building and the area of the bays that were filled in.
Yeah, I think Rob and his team provided that originally with like exactly how much cubic feet and everything. It's all should be in like the initial paperwork or whatever.
Yes, Alex, do you have a question? No? Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I was
thought you were raising your hand. Okay.
But Nico, Carl, the Commissioner Grove is correct that we will need something in writing from you or from Levesque and Associates. So if you can dig up that earlier paperwork, now would be the time to for us to record that properly in the minutes. Not tonight, but when we meet with you next.
Okay, yeah, I could do that.
Great, thanks. So in summary, it sounds like we're waiting to get a picture of this place and then we can make a determination on the certificate of compliance. Is that right?
I guess I'd add to that if we're entertaining banked comp storage, it's got to be pretty well documented at what elevations we're saying there was a net gain in flood storage down here. You know what I mean? Like if we're just talking about approving the building and we know that the volume's sufficient, which I apologize, I'm just not looking at the documents. I'm not necessarily doubting that it's there, but okay, we know the building came down, we know what the elevations were, we can say it's good. But if we're entertaining a bank storage, there needs to be a pretty clear memo in the file that says, we basically credited 302 with whatever, 10 cubic feet at elevation 10 and 30 cubic feet at elevation 11, because if he comes back to do something, it's got to match up to that standard.
Right.
So that's the dilemma. If we're gonna do that, then we'd want to kind of continue this discussion, even though we don't have to make that motion, because we don't want to release the certificate if he's looking for us to document something else. But we need that memo from somebody that's based on reputable data here. So
yeah, I could get Rob and his team to provide all that, and I could take a picture and send it all to like Meredith or so.
Yeah. Would they need an as-built plan? Or, I mean, because we have the original chart, the comp storage table is on the plans we approved.
And it accounted for the removal of 2 Scuttney's garage?
Yeah, that was the whole.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, but there's, yes, accounted for the demo of the garage. It says that right on the chart. And then it has net surplus of credited comp storage.
And is it foot by foot?
And it's foot by foot. Yeah, sorry. Let's see. This is really, can you guys see?
Okay.
So that's what I was getting at. And Nico, I'm sorry, because I didn't have it in front of me. It sounds like
that's all good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess a photo would be nice, but if he's lying about the garage, it's going to be pretty easy to drive by and see that it's not there. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with it. We can obviously.
It's also relisted for sale, and you can see there's no garage. So
see it on Zillow. This is the little white one on the corner, right?
Yeah, it's a crappy little house.
And you took the block garage down,
took the block garage, left everything else there. I mean, yeah.
I mean, can we reference this sheet instead of having them do a whole survey and all that?
If it's there and it's stamped by Rob already, that's better than any other memo or anything else we're going to get at this point.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Just keep a record of it so we know where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely. I can reference. I'll put it in the file.
Okay.
I mean, in that case, I don't need to wait 2 weeks for a photo.
Okay. All right. So it seems like everybody's satisfied with approving the request tonight. Okay.
I am, yes.
All right. Then someone make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for the certificate of compliance for 2 Escutney Avenue.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion?
Only that it also includes 302 East Main Street.
Yes, okay. All right, all in favor? Tom?
I'll vote yes.
Okay, Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. Okay, item 7, other items. Approval of minutes of April 13, 2021. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor? Tom?
Yes, on the minutes.
Okie dokie. Carl?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
Now I'll vote yes as well. All right, next item, A, regulations and procedures. Anything under this item, Meredith?
Meredith.
Few
Meredith,
things.
Your call, but do you want to talk about Toccoa Country Club or an
Oh
emergency?
yeah, we should talk about that. So first, Mr. Drost actually just came in. We know he continued his permit, but I think he wanted to speak. I don't know if you guys want, I guess you would have to reopen the meeting. Or we just.
Which item?
Was he here?
That was 975 North Road. The RDA for the tree removal and the septic in the buffer zone. We wanted to discuss with him some things. So do we want to revisit that now, or?
This is going to be a pretty long one, I would think.
Yeah.
Between that and the fence and everything else.
I mean, I can talk to Tim tomorrow.
I apologize, gentlemen. I was about 20 minutes late. I got 17-year-old daughter got a flat tire, so I was trying to help her with that and not realizing how long it was taking me because I'm an old man and it takes me a lot longer to change a tire than it does now. But I don't know that there's. I think we just have a couple things to talk about. I know that we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and then we had a planned meeting to meet at the property that got a little disvalidated. So I would like to just, I don't know that there's much to talk about on the property from my end. It's more taking a fence down and cutting a few trees down.
Procedurally, this is awkward. We've already closed it for the agenda that we advertised. Meredith, I'd suggest that that perhaps you and I'd be willing, and perhaps other commissioners would like to meet also, but maybe a site visit, maybe another site visit when the property owner is there. But to talk about it now, I just don't. David, maybe you know better how to get into it if we want to get into it, but we've dealt with that one for tonight.
Yeah.
I think we had a site visit scheduled and I waited, and then for some reason, nobody showed up.
Yeah, give us another chance.
I think there are enough concerns that we need to go back out on the site and look more closely at the trees you want to cut down. So I think we're going to have to keep our continuance and get another site visit in before the next meeting. Okay, so that's our continuance will stand until next time. So Meredith, can you work on another site visit for us?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you.
So
So you had a question?
Sorry, Tim, I'll be in touch. Okay. So regulations and procedures, is that where we were?
Yeah, you were going to mention something about Toccoa.
Oh, sorry. So we got a call from Toccoa Country Club. It's actually why everything got pushed back on Thursday when Tom and I were out running around. We did a site visit at Toccoa Country Club. They have a water main break, and I forget what hole it's at. But it's right smack dab in the middle of a wetland area with all skunk cabbage and Phragmites, and it's looking like they're going to need to dig up the swamp to get to the pipe to fix it. So
is it on the first hole?
No, it's way down.
It's behind number 14. If you know where the 14th green is, it's a terrible spot for a break.
Yeah,
Route 20 is a big elevation. It's way up this hill is where the pump is, and when we were there, they weren't even sure where the line went, but it goes down into a swampy wetland area, and it was just pouring out water. I mean, it was just like you knew something was wrong, and it has been apparently pouring out water for quite a while. What was the number he bounced? Was it 68,000?
He said he got a water bill for like $68,000 and knew something was wrong.
Oh,
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So it's between Route 20 and hole 14. Is that what you said? We can do another site visit. They haven't gotten back in touch after we were out there, but I said we can probably issue an emergency cert. Given that the city water department did confirm that there was a break. So yeah. I would feel comfortable issuing an emergency cert. They're going to need to maintain, try to keep it dry when they're digging. It's just so wet, and like that whole wetland complex goes to a pond, which eventually goes to the river. It's a really sensitive area.
Meredith, I did speak to Dan, the owner of the golf course, and he indicated that his foreman believes he was able to locate the break, locate where it's pouring out most of the water. The impression I have is they're going to be able to do. When we were first there, he had a contractor who was, puffing his chest out and saying, well, I'm talking about a 20-foot swath coming down from Route 20, and it's going to, it's like crazy job. I think this may be a lot simpler, and they may be able to do it with their own forces, digging a hand hole large enough for a man to get into, and then put some kind of saddle, some kind of Band-Aid around the city water line. But I think it is important that we do an emergency, give them, we know they're going to be there. We know they have to be there. Meredith, you should have the authorization to go ahead and write up an emergency order.
Yeah, and it's not on the agenda, so I don't know. I didn't put it on because I wasn't sure I think I already had done the agenda, so I could put it on for the next.
You have the authority to do it on your own authority.
Yes, correct? And then you guys can ratify.
All right. So I guess my purpose is to make the rest of the commission aware of this. And Meredith, you're going to end up doing your thing probably tomorrow or the next day. He said something about he's waiting to get Johnny on the spots because he's going to have to kill the water for a couple of days. And this is the water for his whole complex. It's the. Okay. But right. I got the feeling 2 days, and he's going to be, they're going to be doing some digging out there.
Okay, did you tell him to contact me so I can issue the permit? Because it's only good for 30 days, so I didn't want to issue it and then, have it expire.
It sounds like they'll want to do it much quicker than 30 days.
Yeah, 68,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay,
go ahead, Meredith, and do the emergency, then we can approve it next time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for reminding me, Tom. Got a little bit else on my mind. So anything else? I haven't worked more on the wetland ordinance, but that's on my to-do list now that Earth Day is complete. That was a little bit of taking up a lot of time. So yeah, so we need to work on the update, and we can hire a consultant. We got, we talked to the auditor and we could hire a consultant, but at the same time, if we want to keep it kind of simple and an easy document for homeowners really to quickly review and assess, we may not want to hire a consultant because they're probably just going to cut and paste the Wetlands Protection Act. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I might need some help. We kind of need a subcommittee. I'm a little bogged down with permitting and trying to get homeowners through the permitting process. I don't know, Carl, I didn't even get a chance to read your email. You sent a nice email about, you know, it is really important to preserve the 100-foot buffer zone. There's research out there that says the buffer zone is just as important as the resources. So we really got to get this in writing, this 50-foot golden rule. We got to get that in writing. But again, we have to have some caveats in there that, you know, when appropriate, we can allow variances. But for undisturbed forested buffer zones, I think it's important to maintain that 50-foot no touch. So anyways, back to scheduling the update. I don't know if you guys have any.
Would anybody like to work on the subcommittee to make comments about the ordinance?
I'm willing to work on that subcommittee.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only I sort of had seconded the thought that the language that Meredith had forwarded us from Northampton was a good one. And the only addition that I had suggested was some sort of language suggesting that if there's already a alteration in that area, that any kind of an improvement was looked upon more favorably than something like a brand new incursion into that area.
Okay, anyone else? I mean, I can help on that too. I think Jim.
Sure, I'm willing to do whatever I can. I remember Jim when at the last meeting put his hand in the air.
Yep.
I think I think we can do this.
Right.
Meredith, can you send out? I think this is how we left it last time, but can you send out to everybody an electronic copy of the current document? Perhaps something that each of us that are interested could redline. Carl could make his comments, you know, and then send them back. Sometimes that works. You know, everybody does their own little editing.
Yeah, I can send a Word document and you guys can, I wish we could do Google Docs because
why not?
Why can't I'll just have to figure out, I mean, because with a Google Doc you can everyone can edit and it saves everyone's edits and it's one document.
Yeah.
I can step up my technological skills and
okay. All right, let's try that then.
Maybe Alex, you know how to do those though? It can't be that hard.
Yeah, you just got to have a Google account.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Microsoft 365, is there?
They do have tools that are comparable now, yeah.
Okay, because the city just upgraded our.
You may be able to share a 365 web version of the document. We can talk.
Okay.
And I'll say I'll support as I can. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't want to be holding this process up. I'm happy to discuss this. I'm happy to weigh in and talk about the key issues we identify. But if I'm joining a subcommittee, it's going to be like next year before we make progress. So I'm not. I'm sorry in that sense.
Okay. All right. Duly noted. All right. Okay. So once Meredith sends something out, then those of us interested can start to, make some changes or additions, some improvements, and then we can circulate it.
Motion to adjourn.
You have a second?
I will second Tom's motion.
Okay. All in favor? Tom?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes, and thanks for being pretty efficient tonight.
Thank you.
Good job.
That was pretty successful considering that monster of an agenda.
Yes, it was. Okay, thank you.